Hello, I'm Clare Jacklin. I'm Chief Exec of the National Rheumatoid Arthritis Society, and I'm joined on this conversation by Mark Patton. You're very welcome, Mark. Now, Mark, you've lived with rheumatoid arthritis for a little while. Would you like to just give a little bit of background as to when you were diagnosed, how old you were, and what has your journey with RA been like since you were diagnosed?
Yeah, good morning, Claire. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I think I was 17 or 18. I'm 34 now, but in the very early stages, it began with pain in my feet. So I was getting up on the morning, and I had a hard floor in my bedroom when I was at home with my parents, and I just found it very painful to walk along the floor, and it just didn't seem right. So I mentioned it to my parents, and after a while, we thought we'd best go to the doctors. It was quite a bit of a whirlwind looking back now, because everything seemed to happen pretty quickly. They did some tests, obviously a blood test. Obviously we get regular blood tests now, so at the time it was a bit surreal. And then it came back that there was a possibility that I could have this thing called rheumatoid arthritis. You can imagine, as a 17, 18-year-old, arthritis, what you're on about, it's only something that old people get. And I didn't know there was two. I didn't know there was different types of arthritis. As a 17, 18-year-old, you just thought there'd be one arthritis. So as the investigations continued, it was apparent that I did have rheumatoid arthritis. They started me off on different treatments. I can't remember the first drug that I was put on, but that wasn't working as well. So they changed it to methotrexate, like a DMARD, that I'm still currently on now. So I've been on that for a number of years. And at the time, I was okay on just 3 tablets a day, and that worked really well. But as the years continued, the number of tablets, methotrexate tablets I took, increased. I continued. I'm a very athletic person. I was. So I played football nearly every day. As I got older, I was still playing football. Believe it or not, I still continued to play football until I was about 28. The pain continued. It was more after playing football. I played in defence, so heading the ball a lot. The next day, my forehead would hurt, and I would ache more the day after doing exercise. As the older that I got, the more aching I was suffering the following days. So I ended up giving up football, and I went into coaching football. I had a little boy when I was 20, so got more involved helping him play. So still being involved in football. It was really hard not to be able to play, and I think it suffered a bit emotionally, mentally, not being able to play anymore, and it being outside of my control. I would love to have been able to stop playing under my own terms, but it was the best thing for me to stop playing, because it wasn't just the next day that I was aching, it was a few days after that I was aching. In the back of my mind, I was worried that what damage was I doing to my joints continuing to play football? Was I putting excess pressure on my joints? So as I said, I decided to stop playing football, and I went into coaching. As the years went on, towards my late 20s, the methotrexate increased from 3 to 6. At the end, I'm on 10 tablets now. So I think that's the maximum methotrexate that you can take. And I was also put on sulfasalazine, a tablet to take alongside. Again, that started off smaller, and now I'm on the maximum 3 tablets twice a day, so 6 tablets a day, and the 10 methotrexate every week. The side effects started to worsen as well. So at the minute, there was only a bit of sickness that I felt, but that was more manageable. I got used to that. What I really suffer from at the minute is mouth ulcers. So I can have like 3 or 4 mouth ulcers at the time. As much as you say you get used to them, it's hard to talk, hard to swallow, hard to eat foods, and it just becomes a bit mentally draining. As I say, I had another addition to the family. I had a little girl when she was in 2019. Sorry, she's 2.5 now. An absolute bundle of joy, but it was quite tough. I ended up losing. I thought there was something wrong with my wrist, and it was just pain, but the pain kept going on. Speaking to the consultant, I ended up, I've lost the cartilage in my right wrist, so I can't put my hand on the floor. I couldn't do a press up because my arm doesn't bend as properly now. And I started to get a bit scared with that because I thought, I'm only 34. I was always promised in the early days that there's more advances in medicine now, and rheumatoid arthritis isn't what it used to be. And if you Google rheumatoid arthritis, you see some horrible pictures of people years and years ago with bent fingers. And
Yeah.
so I was put at ease with the consultants that treat me that don't worry, it won't get like that. But when obviously I lost the cartilage in my wrist, I did start to worry and panic. It was quite hard because I struggled. The big part I struggled was lifting my little girl up, not being able to do things with her. It was quite hard, like really hard. And I think obviously with the pandemic last year, obviously I completely 100% understand the focus had to be on tackling the pandemic. But as that time went on, I'm gradually losing more and more mobility in my wrist. The worry that I had was, would that happen to my left wrist? As I said, during the pandemic, I really suffered mentally and with anxiety. I went to NRAS for support. I'd heard about it. I saw it on social media, so I joined the group on Facebook, and I started watching some of your live videos because, if I was to be totally honest, I was really scared of what impact that might have, being immunosuppressed. How would that impact me if I caught COVID? So joining NRAS and watching some of the live videos really put me at ease. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet and on other social media. So getting information from NRAS really helped me put my mind at ease and realise that actually I'm probably not as risky as I thought I was going to be.
And so when you were, you've been on methotrexate a long time now, you can feel that it's not quite controlling your disease with the other DMARD as well, sulfasalazine. So you're aware that these advanced therapies, the more advanced therapies are out there. Have you ever been assessed to look at whether it was possible for you to move on to these?
Well, to be honest, yes. Last year, when I got to see my consultant, it was mentioned about biologics and whether I'd be a right fit for that. But as someone that's probably only suffering moderately, believe it or not, even though I think I've got it quite bad, I probably just cost my wrist. You have to hit a pain score, and as the consultant was,
reach it. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't quite reach that score, but we were talking about more advanced treatment. But last year, in my own head, I was weighing up. I didn't even realise I wasn't eligible for it. So before that, when I was weighing up the options of going on it, I decided against it for my own health reasons, because I was weighing up the option of staying alive with COVID, and what impact going on a more advanced treatment might do to me, or having joint pain. But as we're, I guess, towards the end, hopefully the end of the pandemic, coming out the other end, we've still got to live. And I realised that I'm putting my joints through more impact, and the methotrexate and the sulfasalazine might not quite be doing what it should be, and maybe it is the right time now to go on something more advanced.
And of course, we now have the evidence. We've got some great data to show that actually being on a biologic is not increasing that risk of COVID. So, you're hopefully that if you are there now reassessed and you do meet the criteria, because we've just heard that the National Institute for Clinical Health and Excellence, NICE, have reduced that threshold. You talked about that DAS score that you had to reach, and you didn't quite reach it, but you have active rheumatoid arthritis. It's not like it's only pops up once in a blue moon. You're living with it every day. So the fact that now has reduced, and it sounds like you possibly will be one of those people that may now be able to access a biologic drug. How do you think that's going to make a difference in your life?
Oh, massively, because I'm struggling at home, as I've mentioned, with my little girl, my family, not being able to do things that any parent should be able to do. That is quite tough as a person. That's quite tough to do, and taking the family side away from it, working as well. I still work. I work in retail. I walk between 20 and 25,000 steps a day.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And to be fair, I honestly, when I said I played football for quite a long time, I've always thought that actually by keeping active, I'm probably doing. It's probably not damaging. It might be helping.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've always believed that. So even working in retail and doing the job that I do, lifting heavy things, at times that is hard. And as I've said, with losing the cartilage in my right wrist, I absolutely, I'm excited because I don't want to stop working. I want to continue working. I want to be able to provide for my family and be able to go on nice holidays. And the fear that I've got that staying on the DMARDs, the methotrexate and the sulfasalazine, that I'm going to damage my joints even more. And I might be in a position where I need to look at a different career that might not be as pay as well that the pay that I'm on. Yeah, less physically demanding, but it's a worry that I have. But when I saw the announcement, I was really excited because it sounds silly, but like I said, I do want to continue working. I want to provide for my family. I want to be able to lift my little girl in and out the bath.
It's not silly at all. I mean, work for many of us is not just about a paycheck at the end of the month, is it? It's kind of what defines us. It gives us purpose. It gives us focus. It gives us structure to the day. And as you said, providing for your family. What has been the influence, the impact of you having RA on your relationship with your partner?
Quite hard because I don't think. Because it's not an illness that you can see, it's not a visible illness. So I've never been out for sympathy. I've always been the type of person that I always think that there's someone out there worse off than me. I'm not just saying this because I'm having this conversation. I honestly do. And that has actually kept me going to think that actually I should be grateful that I've got a beautiful family. I'm still living, I'm still breathing. As much as it's hard what I've got. But you see people that have a broken leg or have got a cast on. People can see it, so they can understand, because it's an invisible illness. Apart from when the swelling's that bad and you can see that you can't bend your fingers or you can't move your wrist. So sometimes it's hard for people to understand. I'm not for 1 minute saying my partner doesn't understand at all, but it took its toll at times. She's been great. She's been there for me, like I say, since we've been together. But it has had an impact. I'm not going to lie, it has had an impact emotionally and. But no, it's the thought of being able to take different medication that might improve not only the family life, the work life, it would have a massive impact on everything.
Thinking about your working life, what sort of reaction do you get from your colleagues or people that you're working alongside? When there are days when you're not as physically able as the day before you were fine, what sort of reactions do you get?
I think, again, as I said, similar to family, with it not being an illness that you can see, I'm not the type of person to ring in sick. I'll still go to work. I still believe that there's something that I can do. But then sometimes I'm not going to sit here and think that people don't think that there's nothing wrong with me, because I bet at times people do think that. There's quite a lot of cynical people out there, but I, for 1 minute, don't believe that I work with any of them. But I guess sometimes it has an impact on them, because in working in retail and in a fast-paced retail environment, if I can't do the work, someone else has to work a little bit harder. So I can imagine it's taken its toll on them, although they do see me trying, and I've had a great support from them. Like I said, not only with the pandemic last year, being able to shield, I couldn't be any more grateful for my employer for allowing me to do that. But coming back to work, the work has been great. The people have been great, but as I said, people, if I can't do the job, it still needs doing. So other people probably have to work harder because I can't do it.
If thinking about going on to a biologic and that difference it will make in your perhaps working life, in your career progression, or to your family life, how optimistic are you now for the future compared to before this announcement?
Massively, really massively. When I saw the announcement, I shared it with my parents, my partner. Obviously, they've all been on the journey with me. And reading the article, it was a great article. It obviously really positive, because I kind of felt, with me suffering only moderate disease and not bigger, I was kind of at the back of the queue. I appreciate that it is the drugs are expensive. But no, obviously great relief when I saw the news. I'm positive for the future. As much as, yes, my cartilage has gone in my wrist, I can't get that back. I'm still able to do my job, although it has its restrictions. But I'm still able to do a normal life. But the fear of not being put on this medication and what impact that might have to me, how I might end up. I want to continue working. I want to be able to be there for my family. I want to continue contributing to the economy, to society, pay my tax. And I worry that if I don't, I won't be able to. And what impact that's going to have, what impact that might have on my partner. If I can't work, I'm the main earner for the family. So if I wasn't able to do that, what impact that might have. And that worries me the most. I'm not going to lie, that does worry, the fear of being able to having to sell the house, go from getting a job that doesn't pay as well, obviously less physically demanding. That worries me massively. And but definitely optimistic. So
that's great. Well, I'm fingers crossed and everything. I do hope that you will be one of the lucky ones, because this decision could impact probably in the region of about 25,000 people who are living with so-called moderate disease. I have a real issue with calling it moderate. Moderate makes it sound like, oh, it's not so bad, but you're still living with pain. You're still living with the fatigue, the restrictions, that early morning stiffness. It is active disease. So that whole label of moderate, I think, has done a great disservice to those that are living with
I completely agree. Why wait till it gets so severe before giving someone the advanced treatment, that then that person, is the impact that's had on them all round, professionally, from a home life point of view. If I was able to get this treatment now, I could continue doing the job that I'm doing. I could continue providing for my family, enjoying life. The impact that would have on me mentally, I think it's a bit silly why that was never possible before, because I do contribute to the economy, to the society, and if I didn't have this drug, I might not be able to, and I might be someone that has to claim universal credit in the future, where at the minute I can provide, I can pay my taxes, I can do my job, I can provide for my family, I can lead a great life. The danger of not going on the drug, I don't want to think about it, because it has been quite scary.
So I think you make a very valid point there on which to end, that it isn't just about the individual and the impact on your health, avoiding future joint damage, hopefully, by having access at an earlier stage in your disease, but it's the impact on your family, your friends, the economy, etc. So that's a great point to finish on. Thank you so much, Mark, for spending some time and sharing your experience. And I hope and have everything fingers crossed for you that you will be one of the lucky ones that will be able to access these biologics.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you.